Hello YouTube, this is day one of my new blog. I just couldn't take it anymore and I just had to do it. Sometimes things just eat at you and you gotta go for it, and that's what it takes. So here I am. It is May 8th, 2018, and I want to start with who. I am Bryce Tippner. What this is a vlog that I want to make, mainly speaking to entrepreneurs, somebody starting out, somebody that's been at it for a while, somebody struggling, um, and so that is what I want to make is some words of maybe advice, encouragement. I also want to document where I'm at right now in my entrepreneurial journey, because I haven't made it. I'm making this on my own. I'm not being interviewed. I'm not on a couch. I am just putting this out there because I'm in the struggle just like all y'all. When? I covered the when. The when is May 8th, first vlog 2018. Where? I am coming to you from, as you can see, it's a bit tropical-ish where I'm sitting, and that is because I now live in Medellin, Colombia, South America. I love it. We moved here late summer of 2016 with my wife and our two boys, and I'll get to that another day about how that came about. But originally I am an Oregonian, born and raised. So the first 41 years of my life were in Oregon, and now the last two have been in Medellin, Colombia, which has been awesome. It's been a good decision. Not easy, but that's why we're here, literally. So I guess today I want to have, excuse me, my first word of the day is tenacity, because to do what we do as entrepreneurs takes a crap ton of tenacity. And I got my little phone set up here, and so it says, tenacity is the definition, the quality or fact of being able to grip something firmly to grip. They're thinking of maybe material, I guess, as far as that noun definition goes, so you could consider glues or adhesive tenacious. It grips onto something. Synonyms are, which is why I'm using it, is persistence, determination, perseverance, doggedness, tenaciousness. I also like to have it as a dash of persistence, or actually, I'm sorry, patience. It takes a lot of patience to be tenacious and to be an entrepreneur. I haven't worked for anybody any full-time or anything like that since I was 19 years of age. I have always had to make my own income by myself. I haven't received a paycheck as far as full-time goes. I've had a few part-times, especially in very tight times. I had to go to a temp agency, and that took me with a one-day's work at a container store, pricing things that came in off the truck. So after a day of that, I'm like, okay, I'll go work harder as an entrepreneur and under my own efforts. So, excuse me. So I guess I will go back to a story of when I was 19. I was living with a buddy. It was just he and I was scraping by, and we came to the end of January, and we didn't have rent. I couldn't sell my product. My distributor at that time disappeared, so I was screwed. We looked at each other and he said, well, I can go move into my parents and go from there. And I said, well, I guess I'll go live in my car on campus, shower in the gym, and go get a job at a convenience store or something. And so I said, wait a minute, well, let's go see if we can call a buddy up north in Seattle and see if maybe I can drum up some business. So we got in the car and we drove. Instead of 6 hours to get from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, instead of 3 hours, it took 6 hours because in early '96, the Chehalis River had flooded I-5, the main highway on the West Coast. So through tenacity, we found a way to get around that point, go all the way out to the Pacific Ocean, go up 101, and come back in. Anyway, took 6 hours, and after running around and some help with my buddy, highly appreciated his input and help up there in Seattle, I was able to sell enough of my product and make rent for February. So yeah, we're talking about the very end of January, going into February, and rent being due, having no money, definitely not enough money to cover rent, and taking a leap of faith and getting in the car and trying and digging deep. So that is a good example of tenacity that worked out. There are these inflection points, I want to call them, and I'm in an inflection point right now. Any entrepreneur will talk about inflection points. I love hearing about stories. I'm able to listen to a lot of podcasts while I do my work. I'm very lucky that way. I'm very grateful for that. And one of them is How I Built This. And Guy Raz does it. He also does the awesome TED Talk summation podcast. And so he interviews people and their journey. I highly recommend it. It's called How I Built This, and it is so cool. He's interviewed the guys that did Airbnb, the woman who did Spanx, that is an amazing one, and on and on. We even got Richard Branson with Virgin Airlines. That was a very cool interview. I highly recommend it. But all of these people at some point have to be incredibly tenacious, even up to the very end of ruin. And that's what it takes, is literally you've got to be looking at zero in the face, near ruin, and persevere. So, and that takes tenacity. Some people call that grit. I like to think of grit as something that you do in the moment. I think of like a Spartan race or something where you're doing push-ups and it takes grit to get that last one out. This is more long-term, which is, I think, tenacity. Grit is more momentary. But so right now, this is part of my documentation I'm going to share, is that we are close to an inflection point. I am a wholesale manufacturer, so that means that I sell to mainly retailers, brick and mortars. In the last year, the writing has been on the wall, and my main mistake is that I didn't shift enough or change gears or transition to the online market quickly enough. So we're scrambling right now. We're doing our best. Basically, in conclusion, I need a 2-year ramp to happen in 2 months in order to cover the bills. So we are scraping by month in the hopes that the brick and mortar side will come through, and it is. That's what's just barely keeping us alive. We're literally on a paid to play basis where we get paid and it keeps us to the next day. It's a sucky way to live, but I've been here since that time in 1996 many times through a deep recession, and any entrepreneur you'll talk to has been here. And that's how it is. That's the rules, and it's fine. You know, this is why we do it. We do it for the struggle. We do it for the, how should I put it? The spice of life, I guess. And so, you know, and I want to use a quick example of why I see that. There's a great story about they call him a 20-year-old in Silicon Valley. And he's at a party, he goes up to a VC, a venture capitalist, or an angel investor, and he says, "Hey, my name is so-and-so, I've got a great idea." And this multimillionaire looks at this younger man and says, "You know, let's call him Michael. You know, Michael, you've got an awesome idea. I love it. It's amazing. But come back to me when you've made and lost $1 million twice, and then whatever your idea is, whatever your product is, I will give you the money. I will give you $1 million of my money for your idea." And that's basically, he's saying you need to have some tenacity, and you need to go through the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, because you learn that it's all going to be okay. And how to get through moments like this where you are bouncing off of zero. I like to use the analogy a lot of an airplane heading to the mountains. In the 2010 recession, the plane was scraping off the trees for a long time, and it actually did hit the ground. We lost the house, lost my nice German car, and to come through that, I'll talk about it another time, another one of these vlogs. It was the best thing that could happen to me. It was awesome. For example, the Bernie Madoff scandal, there's support groups and there's people that go to them and they talk about how much their life is better after they lost all that money in the Bernie Madoff scandal. So failure is not failure. It's not ruinous. It sucks. It's hard. It's a gut check. Another term I really like to use is embrace the suck. It's a military term. Basically, you have to be very comfortable with being uncomfortable and let that be okay. And to do that, it takes tenacity. So yeah, be tenacious. Don't give up. Keep going. And because we are right now. We are in that inflection point where I get in my car with my buddy and I drive north for whatever it takes. It's supposed to take 3 hours. It takes 6 hours. So right now, stay tuned. because I don't know. We may have to return back to Oregon and with our tails between our legs, and that's okay. That's a journey in itself, and there's lessons there, and I'll be okay. My family will be okay. Been here before, and life was actually better on the other side of it. So that leaves me with fingers crossed, and I'll be tenacious. I'll keep getting up at 4:45 in the morning and putting in a solid day and trying. Try. That's all we can do. And to try, you have to be tenacious in the face of hardship, ruin, whatever. But in the end, it's not ruin. Anyway, all right. Thank you for listening. That was my first vlog. And next time we come back, I am going to speak about coping mechanisms, how you don't lose it when you're losing it all, and how to be healthy in that and not lose yourself and maybe even find yourself in that turmoil, because it's a cool place. It can be. All right, thanks for listening. My name is Bryce Tippner, and it's kind of cheesy, but I'm calling myself the optimistic entrepreneur because I've been optimistic and the glass is half full since I was 19, and here I am, still being optimistic because that's all I got. All right, thank you. Please subscribe if you want, and thanks again. Hit the like button. Thank you.